if we look at the nature of perfection from the lens of how it's defined with a pitch to perfect game, no flaws, it is a perfect circle, mathematically, right? No flaws. Okay, got it. But if we look at how perfection is thrown around, like, oh my God, they're like the perfect couple. That's crazy. What does that even mean? Perfect is one of those words. Perfect is one of those words that's really one of the sacred words. It's sacred because there's so much that goes into perfection that is beyond our mind's ability to understand. Like things you thought, this is terrible, this is awful, and it actually worked out the best possible way for you, for your deepest learning and your deepest healing. That was perfect. But there's no way you could have seen the perfection in it, right? And so what I want to share with you is that each one of you are perfect. You're perfect examples of human beings, meaning that by the time you were 1 year old, you already had a nervous system that was getting conditioned to believe, is life safe or not? By the time you're 2, you're already conditioned in a way to say, are relationships safe or not? By the time you were 3, your nervous system's already getting conditioned to say, how do I need to be in relationships to get my needs met? And so off we go with an undeveloped brain and all these unenlightened people around us projecting their unresolved things, and we do our best to feel stable and have that nervous system feel regulated. So what happens is we make up beliefs and ideas. That's why you can have people from the same family, same mom and dad, and one says, I need to yell to be heard, and the other says, well, my voice isn't important. The other says, I need to please people or I'm not going to get love. The other says, I need to just get mine and forget everybody else, right? Some people have these beliefs about themselves that seem so incredibly real when we're adults, but if we say, hold on, let's update the operating system for a moment. Are you running like Windows, 75 on that? You know what I mean? And so if we update it now, we go, actually, that is an old belief. So all of us are going to take on beliefs that aren't true. In fact, every single belief that every single one of us has, we've made up. Every thought that every one of us has, we've made up. And we take on these beliefs that aren't really true about us. And then because life is hard and we make up these beliefs to try to feel stable, we have this lens we look through, and then there's heat, and then there's pressure, and the lens becomes warped and distorted. Then we put filters over it, and we put lenses over it to try to block out certain things, and then we're looking through it and we go, oh, I see what's going on. Oh, I totally know what that person's about. It's a projection. It's like you're using that lens. Oh, that's crazy. We have to use a whole different perceptive mechanism. And so part of this human evolution is that we have a psychological process, and we go, oh, so that is how I get accepted, so that's not how I get accepted, so those people are like this, so I need to be like this. And that psychological process, after years, gives us a sense of self. This is who I am. How did you develop that sense of yourself? Because some people have really twisted sense of themselves, right? It's a psychological process based on what's going on in their environment that they have to work with, right? If parents aren't present or they're aggressive, or the child in some way doesn't feel soothed and seen and safe, they have to do something psychologically, and all of us are part of this, to stabilize ourselves. So then we have this sense of ourselves, this identity we create, and then we have to fortify our identity because now we have a belief about who we are and how to be in the world. And it's still made up. And everyone's doing it. And so we start getting triggered, and then we start making beliefs about how we need to show up in relationships. Then we have these struggles, and then what you notice is, oh, I'm in a pattern. Why am I in this pattern again? It's because your brain started getting wired in certain ways to configure itself to say, here's how I need to be safe in the world. And so it winds up backfiring a bit because it's no longer allowing us to experience life as it is, because we have these lenses. And so if no one ever formally welcomed you, I may be the first to say welcome to the human race. Welcome, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's actually nothing wrong with you. In fact, there's never been anything wrong with you. Even if your mind said there was, even if someone else's mind says there was, even if it seemed like there was, It's not true. All that's happening is you're in a human process of unfolding where you became knotted up. Unfolding all those places you became creased. The entire thing's a learning process of trying to understand the truth about the nature of who we are and unfolding the old beliefs, that old operating system. There's actually nothing wrong with you. In fact, you don't need to prove anything about your self-worth to anybody. They will get it or they won't. But ultimately, we have to be the ones who get it. We have to be the ones who get it. I'm going to talk quite a bit about that. And so when people say, oh, well, nobody's perfect. I mean, think about like a common statement about being a human being that people make that's so not empowering. Well, nobody's perfect. No, we're all perfect. That's the whole thing. And what's happening is natural. What's happening is part of the process of evolution. There's nothing wrong with you.